Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Hello from Hollywood. George Fish is speaking to you from the stage of the world-famous Grauman Chinese Theater in Hollywood, where the presentation of the 17th Annual Academy Award is already underway. This is Hollywood's greatest night, the moment when the motion picture industry honors its own members for their achievements in 1944. I have the honor of calling upon Bob Hope.
And I have the honor of calling upon the, well, let's call it this way, the gentleman that's quite a prize himself, David Cohen, here on Everything Old is New Again.
Thank you, Doug. You're quite a catch yourself.
And why do I say quite a prize? What was that? That was a very bad recording I started off with, but
I thought I heard something about the 17th Annual Academy Awards. Is that what he said?
It was let's put it this way. That was the 1945 radio broadcast of the Oscars.
That's what's wrong with the Oscars. Awards. They got to go back to radio. I think that's what the problem is.
Exactly. Well, we just saw the 91st Academy Awards presented on television, or did we see that? We'll get into that. Ratings went up a little bit, went up about 12% from the last year. But
that's pretty good.
But last year was the lowest of all time, or the second lowest of all time.
No, once you hit bottom, there's nowhere to go but up.
Exactly. Has it lost its cachet? I don't know. I would say the last 10 years, and I have the stats here, the viewership has been going down. Now, just to get an idea, in 1953, the first televised broadcast of the Academy Awards, there were 40 million viewers, and of course there were 100 million less people in the country then.
Well, but also many fewer viewing options, so that's not really apples to apples.
Okay, I understand. But from there, if you take a look to 2014, there were 37 million. 2015, 34 million. 16, 33. 17, 22. And 18, 19 million.
Oh, no,
people.
It's definitely been steadily decreasing the last 5 or 6 years, no question.
Yeah, this year it went up 1.6 million people. It went up. So that's not bad.
Probably because there was no host that was going to offend anybody, so more people tuned in, I guess.
It's
I don't
possible. But, I mean, has something happened beyond? I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to throw it out there that caused the ratings to decline. How about the show itself? Is it special as it used to be? I mean, we see stars now all the time on, E! Entertainment and everywhere in between. I mean, wherever.
Yeah, there might be something to that. Because back
TV.
Back in the day when you and I were much younger, I mean, that was the only chance, unless you saw them in a movie, that you typically saw the Hollywood stars on your TV set.
Yeah, the only time you're going to see Bob Hope and let's say John Wayne interact on the Academy Awards.
Can you think of something even a little more recent, just slightly more recent than that?
No, but that was it. Well, that was the 60s.
How about like Al Pacino and Diane? Even I'll give you that.
But you can see Al Pacino on Saturday
No, I meant
Live
at the time. I meant in the 70s. You're going back to the
70s,
40s.
Yeah, I'm going to say from the 80s on, though, even 70s, you had Carson and all that. They were on TV all the time. So
That's
true. You really have to go back to the 60s and beyond, I think. But let's just listen to a little bit of the Dawn, just to get a kick of the feel for the way they presented it on television, the first time on television in 1953.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences 25th Annual Academy Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Hope.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brackett. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. But isn't it exciting to know that a lot of these glamorous stars are going to be in your homes tonight? All over America, housewives are turning to their husbands and saying, "Put on your shirt, Joan Crawford is coming." Television, that's where movies go when they die. I'm not here to belittle television, because you can't ignore an industry that has brought fame to Chef Milani and perpetual youth to the Bowery Boys. Just imagine how Leo Gorcey's kid must feel watching TV and finding out his old man is younger than he is.
From the reruns syndication.
Yeah, I guess so. What is the thing with put your shirt on because Joan Crawford's coming? Because you weren't dressed?
You would be in your pajamas or whatever. And
I thought it was a little more lewd, but no. Okay.
This is the dawn of television. The first, I don't know, when did television really become popular? It's definitely the early 50s.
I think so.
So, I mean, it was around the late 40s, but not a lot of people had it and all this. So, 50s was the time period. So now it's exciting. It's on television in your living room. So of course people wanted to watch that. And I know you want a current clip, so I'm going to play something current. Two stars that are interacting on the Academy Awards stage.
You know, Bogey, I guess the two guys in this town who ought to be most grateful to the cameramen are you and me.
Well, Bob, there isn't much they can do with a face like mine, but yours presents vistas of opportunity. They must gaze on your face with all the glee of a child contemplating his first jigsaw puzzle.
I don't think either one of us ought to go into it too deeply.
All right, so there's a lot of laughs there. These jokes are maybe a little, I don't know.
Were those jokes?
Stretched a little bit.
Those were jokes? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Who writes for
like a child looking on a jigsaw puzzle. What does that mean? Did you ever see a child get excited by a jigsaw puzzle? No.
They're just trying to present the idea that they would have faces for radio.
Yeah, I got that.
But so,
like you and I do all the time.
Who in the world writes the Academy Award jokes, and do any of them work? I mean, seriously,
you mean currently?
Throughout, well, currently is really the question, but even throughout time, is it too fake? Is it too put on? These are actors of actors, but they're, again, actors trying to do comedy. I love Bogart, but I don't think he had the presentation or the words to say that actually made people really guffaw.
I don't know. I guess maybe they thought it made him look more human, instead of the characters he was always playing in the movies. I don't know why they did that.
He's the original creator of the Rat Pack before Sinatra.
Humphrey Bogart?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, he had the Rat Pack with Edward G. Robins, some others, and his wife. And, they were quite a bit. So how about the time frame? Is it too long? 4 hours? How about, what did it used to be? How about 1959?
In just a moment, we'll present Hollywood's top glamour event of the year, the 31st Star-Studded Academy Awards presentations in a special 2-hour program.
2-hour program. Now, would that be the way to go?
Still too long. I should wrap it up in half an hour.
Well, I listened to the broadcast, the radio broadcast one a little bit, and in the beginning, the first, I would say 10 minutes, Bob Hope went through about 10 different Academy Award winners of all those ancillary categories.
Oh, so he just started listing the winners.
Yeah. I'm going to call up Johnny Jones, just won, for Best Adapted Screenplay. And this guy... And
Did they come to the stage, the winners?
Came right up to the stage. They didn't make any... They just shook hands. He said, good job. Give it to him, and next to the next guy.
That's great.
It was perfect. That was great. So back in the day, the only time that they really came up to stage and made a speech were, I think, Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Actress. Maybe Best Director.
Right.
4 of them.
Right.
That was it.
But now everybody's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Making speeches.
And listen, we'll go through this when we present the show. I'll show you some speeches that went awry and so forth. But with all due respect, most of the speeches, they're just thanking people we don't know. And that's fine for...
by the way, made by people we don't know. The speech is being made by these, the Foley artist or whatever. I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, and so, it's an inside thing that you're presenting to America. We don't know these names. We don't even know the category in some of these things. We don't know what you're talking about. Get that done elsewhere. We really need... Right. You just need the show to do maybe 6 awards.
But they can, because you're not giving the credit to all the supporting people behind the films. I mean, that's what the whole to-do was this year, right? Where they were going to do some actually off camera or during the commercial breaks. But, Jack Nicholson didn't like that, or whoever, made a stink about it. Look, you want to have your own world, your own little bubble, and pat yourself on the back and for whatever you're doing in society. That's great, terrific, but we don't want to see all of it, right? That's what we're saying.
And back in the day with Bob Hope, they had like what I just said worked, but also they had a separate day for all these others. And they presented just the big ones. They're forgetting that this is a television show. You know what I'm saying? This is not...
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. Like you just said, is exactly right. Have that elsewhere, or just don't broadcast over America for 4 hours. We've got to wait. We really. Who do you care about? Best actor, best director, best movie. I guess best. They say female actor. I don't know what they say. Best actress. I don't know what they say anymore.
Actress, yeah.
And maybe supporting. So there's like 7.
Right.
Awards.
Right.
You can't get 7 awards done in an hour and a half?
And I'd let, fine, the Lady Gaga thing, that was great, and I want to see that again, for sure.
Yes.
But I don't need to see the best adapted screenplay. Just some of this stuff is just not interesting to me.
Right.
Sorry.
We'll be back on Everything Old is New Again. Continue all things Academy Awards.
Thanks for the memory of sentimental verse, nothing in my purse, and chuckles when the preacher said,
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Listen to me, I've come back in time from the 23rd century to stop you from destroying the Academy Award.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani with David Cohen, and that, of course, was our ever-present Star Trek reference. William Shatner in the Academy Awards in 1984, trying to save the day to give some advice, I guess, to the host of the year that year, and I don't know that it worked. Did they not ruin the show? I don't know. We're trying to figure out a little something about the Academy Awards, what's great about it, what can be done to increase the viewership, make it more fun or not. Let's look a little bit here at some of the oddities, some things that we'll remember or could remember from past Oscar shows, and most of them are not from speeches. You know, some events, things that occurred that were odd. I don't know if anybody remembers. We're going way back in time. 1973, David Niven speaking, and something happens in the background.
And now, to divulge the contents of this year's most important envelope is a very important contributor to world entertainment, and someone, quite likely...
And behind him came a nude man running across the stage.
When streaking was a big thing. This is before, video and iPhones and all that. I mean, you had your chance in front of a live crowd, wherever it was, just to streak, just to run across naked for no reason other than just to do it.
And it was a craze everywhere. I mean, it happened all over the place.
At baseball games, you name it.
Now... David Niven saw it happen, and in his style, he just looked over his shoulder. He saw this guy go by him behind him, and then he continued on.
Right. Subtle acknowledgement, and then didn't break stride.
Right. So we remember that. That was kind of cool. I think the problem is, though, unfortunately, there's not a lot of video of all the things that occurred. But so some of these are a little more. Modern, if you will. But here's Jennifer Lawrence. Remember this, 2013.
You guys are just standing up because you feel bad that I fell, and that's really embarrassing, but thank you.
Jennifer Lawrence on the way to the stage fell.
Tripped, yes.
And then the next year, 2014, in the red carpet, she fell.
Yes.
So what's any idea why?
I don't think she's fallen since then. I think it was just two, unfortunate incidents.
What was it? Was it heels? Was it
Rami Malek fell. Did you see that this year?
No.
Yeah, when he went back to his seat, he slipped and fell, and they actually called the paramedics over. He was okay.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was another thing that happened. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't like making fun of people that fall. But I'm just trying to figure out why she fell not once but twice. I think some of it is in this day and age, like it or not, people aren't wearing dresses, full-length dresses, and they're not wearing high heels for whatever reasons. I think that she just wasn't comfortable in what she was wearing.
Oh, because you're saying she's not used to the high heels.
Yeah,
that could be.
That's possible, right? And it's a floor that's...
I think Rami Malek was wearing high heels, and he's not comfortable. He was still, on the Bohemian Rhapsody set when it was happening. That was a bad joke.
Yeah. How about Sammy Davis Jr. giving the wrong envelope announcing the wrong winner in 1964? But listen to how he covers it up.
John Addison for Tom Jones. Oh, they gave me the wrong envelope? Wait till the NAACP hears about this.
Good. See how a pro, like, right off the top, he just comes out with it. He just was a performer galore. He knew how to ad-lib. He knew how to go with it. He was perfect. As opposed to some other times that occurred, it wasn't so perfect. He turned a negative into a fun time, a funny joke, if you want to call it that. And then you had, of course, the same thing happen in 2017. In some ways, Warren Beatty, remember this, announced the wrong winner of La La Land, and the producers had to correct him and say, no, it was Moonlight. I'll have a clip of that. But before that, it was so disrespectful. Let's put it this way. The producer of La La Land was so upset about it that he literally grabbed the envelope out of the hand of Warren Beatty to turn it towards the camera and show it. And he had such disdain. I can understand it. He was upset. But it was a kind of an embarrassing moment. But here we go.
We lost, by the way. But,
Guys, I'm sorry. No. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture. This is not a joke. Moonlight, Best Picture.
I mean,
that was horrific. It was literally almost like watching a car wreck. It was
the whole bad. It was like 12 people on stage celebrating the win, and then I think word is he had something in his earphone. I don't know why he had an earphone, or somebody did, and they announced to the on stage people on stage, no, you got the wrong thing. So that's a little embarrassing.
Yeah, I felt bad for the people who thought they won. That's just such a cool joke. But also, isn't it funny that, like, if you saw a movie about that and that happened in the movie, you go, nah, that would never happen.
Right.
And here it was playing out right in front of you. It was in a way, it was kind of cool.
So, but, is it worth 4 hours to sit through that to get that once every 10 years?
I think it might have been that time.
All right, here we go. A little something with, talk about embarrassing. John Travolta, and then a follow-up with Neil Patrick Harris on 2015.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Benedict Cumberbatch. It's not only the most awesome name in show business, it's also the sound you get when you ask John Travolta to pronounce Ben Affleck.
That was, I don't know if that was on the fly or somebody wrote that on an envelope to go out stage after John Travolta did his thing. But that was kind of, I thought that was kind of funny.
That was funny. Yeah. Not what John Travolta did, but Neil Patrick Harris.
Okay. Now, speaking of speeches, let's listen to two of the shortest speeches of all time, and maybe most remembered just for that, and maybe the Academy can take a little bit of a hint from these two.
Well, it's my privilege. Thank you.
Joe Pesci.
The winner is Patty Duke.
Thank you.
That's all you need. Thank you. You know what thank you means? It means thank you, whoever you are, whoever helped me, whoever was there for me, you, the audience. That's all you needed, the 2 words.
Don't you feel like it's now like the in thing? You've got to thank this litany of people, otherwise you're the jerk. I think that they feel the pressure that they've got to do this.
Because if you God forbid, you leave somebody off the list, right? And you
right, or don't do a list.
Right.
Even just don't do a list. You're going to be arrogant or something. I think that's got to change. They may even make a rule so that, that they have the excuse. I'm not allowed to mention the names. The Academy has stopped me from thanking anyone anymore. I mean, speeches should be a speech. Maybe it'd be nice. I tried hard to find speeches that had meaning to them. There are some. But most people, it's just a thank you and goodbye of all these people and goodbye. Again, it's a television show. Give us a speech that means something. What was your journey to get here? What lesson did you learn from this? Is there a life lesson you could teach people? Sometimes people do that.
Yeah,
but many times, majority of the time, it's thanking all these people and then I love you and goodbye, and I'm going to cry.
Right.
But
not only
that's genuine, that's okay, but don't do it, it's a show.
But another thing that takes up a lot of time is the 75 people that go up onto the stage when some crew wins, right? The producers of something, and it's like half the audience gets up out of their seat and gets onto the stage
for 20 minutes. And then I always look at it, how many statues do they have? And sometimes they don't have enough for that whole big group.
I think everyone gets one, I think.
If you're the producers and it's 7 producers, let's say, executive producers.
But if not, I guess that you're allowed to get up on stage and be on TV. But wow, what a waste of time.
I think they're forgetting that this, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, is a show. You're trying to garner ratings. Watching you, just seeing you on is not enough anymore.
See, I don't think they think that way. That's the problem. It's
Yes.
too, like, self-congratulatory. It's just done for them. Oh, and by the way, wouldn't everyone want to watch us do this?
Right.
That's the attitude.
Right. And on top of that is a lot of categories.
Yes, there are.
You know, and
There are.
And then let's talk about the picture itself. Like, these days, over the last 10 years, I'm going to say, I don't recognize a lot of the movies that are nominated and or win. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, but they're coming out in 2020, supposedly, with a new category, which is going to be Best Popular Movie. And I think that's going to help. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging an artistic movie, a movie that they feel deserves to be, best movie. But there also is something to be said for the masses. Again, this is a TV show.
So what does that
So
does that
best
mean,
popular movie might be, maybe Black Panther may have won this year best popular movie. It made tons of money.
So most like crowd pleasing sort of thing?
Jurassic World or, Avengers Endgame, something like that, or I think that's where we're going with it, as opposed to, these, because you have to admit the last 5-10 years, there's been obscure movies, and I'm not saying they're not good and worthwhile, but they haven't been moneymakers. So many people haven't seen them. If people haven't seen them,
they're not going to watch the Oscars.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to throw that extra category in there to get some. That's why I think the Golden Globes, gets better ratings, because at least they're acknowledging popularity. Now, that's not always. It's a struggle, because popularity is not always the determining factor as to whether something is good or not.
Right.
Artistically.
But it might get
Two
more
different
people to
things.
watch, right?
So maybe you should have two different categories. To me, that makes sense. I don't know. Does it make sense to you?
It does, actually. That might bring more viewers, sure.
Why isn't anybody asking us for their advice on this?
Well, but they thought of that on their own, right? You didn't tell them about that. You're taking credit for something that's not yours. I'm not saying you're not smart.
Absolutely
you have
right.
some great
I actually
ideas.
adopted that as if it was my idea. You're right. Never mind.
But Doug, if it makes you feel better, that was a great idea you had.
Why? Why did they ask us for an endorsement of their?
Okay,
idea?
sure. I'll give you that.
That's what my thought is, and I don't know where a movie like Roma comes from this year. Appreciate it, but it came out of nowhere, nominated, or
It was towards the very end of the cycle,
right?
I
So we didn't
think.
even get a chance to see it.
Right.
Can
Right,
we?
right.
Maybe we should get that cycle changed a little bit so we can see these movies. Shouldn't that Roma be for 2019?
I mean, if it was up to you, though, you'd still be waiting to see, the Wild Bunch or something. Just give me another 40 years. I'll get to it.
Once it gets to the VCR tape, I'll call and watch it.
VCR tape.
When it gets, I can't get out of the house. I'll watch it on VCR.
I only have a Betamax. It's got to be on Betamax.
Once it's at the Blockbuster, I'll go down to the Blockbuster, pick it up, and then I'll watch it.
It was a great picture. Did you see that picture?
We'll be back right after this. Everything else new again.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
There are times when you reach a certain age plateau where the producers they talk about you and they say, well, what do you think? Can we risk it? Can we do it? Can we use them? It's kind of difficult. They forget to ask that you go out there and you do all these things. Like, for instance, you go out there and you do these push-ups. No, that's nothing really.
There you go. That's welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. That's Jack Palance from his speech from the Oscars in 1992, doing a one-arm push-up. This is Douglas Viviani on Everything Old is New Again with David Cohen, and we're talking about the Oscars or the Academy Awards and how we can possibly improve or see what's happening with this show. And again, we're thinking that they're forgetting it's a show. Now, that's a speech that had a little something in there.
A little entertainment.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
That's what I want to see. You want to see these actors do something or, say
Act.
something.
Get up there and
worthwhile.
act.
Right. How about that? Act like you're interesting. How about Shirley MacLaine? Do you remember this in 1984?
I'm not going to thank everybody I've ever met in my entire life. Although with the way my mind has been going lately, probably everybody I've ever met in my entire life and any other life I might have had something to do with this.
She's a little bit wacky, but memorable. And she's talking about her past lives, and a book had come out recently. And she spoke about living on the earth before and all that. So that was kind of, interesting.
Yeah.
You could also be quirky or odd and always be remembered for that, like Sally Field, the same year, 84.
I'm not going to thank everybody I've ever met in my entire life.
No, that's not Sally Field. She did thank everybody. What happened to Sally Field? How about this one?
But I want to say thank you to you. I haven't had an orthodox career, and I've wanted more than anything to have your respect. The first time I didn't feel it, but this time I feel it, and I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me.
We did, until you said you like me. Then we stopped liking you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What do you think of that? You remember that?
You got to love the self-confidence, right? The need for others' approval.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I want to ask you. The first one I didn't really appreciate. You guys liked me and everything, but I didn't realize that. Wow, you really like. What are you saying? What are you?
Yeesh.
By the way, you're talking to America, right? You didn't realize that we're all watching this.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of making mistakes of being odd on television, how about the hosts? Let's look. Maybe that has something to do with some of the ratings sometimes. I don't know. Let's look at the ones that have a little bit of a misstep first. Now, I don't think it was mostly Jerry Lewis's fault, but he hosted in 59. The show ended 20 minutes early. I would almost say thanks to his moving it along or whatever it might have been. But then he had to ad-lib for 20 minutes.
Really?
We certainly appreciate the fact that you are with us tonight. To the viewing audience, we are indeed indebted. You're tuning in. We are very, very sorry about a very, very good friend, Danny Thomas, who must have a 3 tonight. In ratings, I mean, you see, he's opposite the show on another network.
Ouch. You see the red light flashing. All right, we don't need the 20 minutes. Thank you.
I just want you to know, let's just do this again. This was a joke, and then listen to the response.
Danny Thomas, who must have a 3 tonight. In ratings, I mean, you see, he's opposite the show.
I think you and I have been there. We've been on stage and gotten that reaction.
Horrible feeling.
And there's one of the best of all time.
You could actually hear the crickets.
Because he's doing an inside joke, a 3. I guess that's the way they spoke about ratings. If you're a producer or whatever. He was talking to an audience that even the actors didn't understand what he was talking about.
But that was during the time where he had to ad-lib for 20 minutes?
Yes.
Is that when that happened?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Poor guy. We went to, but he never was invited back, and he was ridiculed for that. And it's weird because, again, this is 59, after the breakup of Martin and Lewis. But Martin and Lewis, their stage act was all, from what I understand, mostly ad-lib from Jerry Lewis. So why couldn't he ad-lib there? I mean, there's nothing perfect in the world, and he was putting on spot.
Well, he probably didn't know that he would have to do that.
Yes.
So maybe that had something to do with it.
Literally 1 second, they go, you got to ad-lib for 20 minutes.
Well, the other thing is you're not always going to be funny. It's not always going to work, right? You're going to bomb sometimes, no matter how good you are.
Poor guy, though.
Oh, wow. But David Letterman did horribly, too. Remember that year he hosted, and that was going to be such a big thing? I love Letterman. I made sure I watched that.
I thought he was going to be the host for the next 20 years.
Me, too. Oprah, Uma. Oh, man.
Yeah, I have. Thanks for saying. We have that.
Sorry, I didn't know. Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be just as funny when you do it.
There you go. And let's listen to Chevy Chase, 1988.
Good evening, Hollywood phonies.
Not a good way to start.
Welcome to Tinseltown, the Athens of the West.
Do you get that? Look, there's total silence. What does that mean?
This is it. The biggest night of the year.
Nothing. He got no reaction.
Does that mean like the Olympics? What does that mean? The Athens of the West?
I don't understand it. I couldn't tell you.
Well, neither did anyone else, apparently.
No, and he went on and on and on. And did you hear the audience? It was like it was like a Jerry Lewis thing, but that was planned. That was written for him. Poor guy. We've heard him fail before. We talked about talk show hosts and late night talk shows, and what a flop he was at that.
Yeah.
I don't know what
he burned out pretty quickly.
Okay, how about what they say is probably the worst performance ever? John Franco and Anne Hathaway, 2011.
So here we are, and it's Hollywood's biggest night.
And it's...
He's all excited, and he's like, yeah, whatever.
Very exciting for both of us because we're both nominated.
Actually, James, I'm not nominated tonight.
Oh, come on, Anne, don't be so modest.
No, I'm not modest. I'm just not nominated. You know,
All right.
it used to be, you get naked, you get nominated. Not anymore. Not anymore. But enough about me.
Ouch. Ouch. Anyone here from out of town? That should have been the next one.
That's the old standby. You're on stage. If something's going wrong, bring the audience in. You can't be worse than this. What?
Go right to crowd work. That's what you got to do.
What do you think of that?
It was just, I don't know. There were rumors that apparently he was intoxicated or
he's slurring his words in a lot of the.
By the way, you said John Franco was the Mets reliever.
Right, that's right.
This was James Franco.
That's how bad it is.
It might have been better with John Franco. Yeah, why not? Get some Major League Baseball players on there. That'll bring the ratings up.
Man.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
So where's the Steve Martin, the David Letterman thing?
It's coming up, don't worry.
All right.
Now, the other thing was Seth MacFarlane took chances. He tried to be funny. I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
But you got to know your audience, and this is not exactly the topic of women across America, especially the women that were acting and right there looking to get awards.
Winslet in Heavenly Creatures and Jude and Hamlet and Titanic and Iris and Little Children and The Reader and whatever you're shooting right now. We saw it.
I cut it out, but he says, I saw your
oh, yes,
chest.
I remember that, yes.
And he just went through a whole list of they pan to the actresses that he's talking about, and they're like looking at the ground and like,
Ouch.
It's not. It sounds like, I guess, on the table, like in talking about it sounds like a good idea.
Did it, though? I mean, really? Like, that's when I think that you would say, whoa, wait a minute, right?
Right.
But,
like, don't you know your audience? No, I don't. So if you're in a bar, maybe, with three guys, maybe?
I think they made the conscious decision that, hey, that's edgy. That's edgy. Let's leave it in there.
Yeah.
And it was just a bad decision.
And it went downhill from there.
Mostly like this show is right now. I feel like we're presenting at the Oscars.
It's a tough road. Let's look at who has done it the most. Who do you think has hosted the most?
Well, my favorite's always been Billy Crystal. So has
9 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny Carson did it.
I did not know. Yes, I did know that. Actually.
5 years.
5 years I did that.
Jack Lemmon.
Wow.
4
yeah,
years.
I did it for 4 years.
Oh,
I never did Jack Lemmon before.
A
lot of people say I still haven't done Jack Lemmon.
Jerry Lewis 3, Steve Martin
Young
3,
ladies.
Sammy Davis Jr. 2, Goldie Hawn. So what they did?
Goldie Hawn hosted?
Yeah, but a lot of times they did groups. So Goldie Hawn was in a group and all. But drum roll, by far, the number one host was Bob Hope.
Bob Hope.
19.
Bob Hope. Yeah.
19 times.
Wow.
I think. Do you think he had an ambiance? Do you think? I never thought that the jokes were that funny. You saw him in the 70s.
Oh, I mean, hosting the Oscars. I saw him live though. I saw him do stand up when I was in college. Right?
Really?
This was in the 80s, and or maybe. It was probably like mid to late 80s.
Oh, what was that like?
I saw him do stand-up. He was hilarious.
He was.
And I went with my parents, right?
Where, like Westbury Music Fair?
No, my brother went to George Washington University,
Okay.
so I think it was in Northern Virginia somewhere. My parents were down, and my brother was there, so we all went to see him.
Can I just ask us the room? How big was
it? Was
the
like
room?
It was George Mason University, so it was a pretty big theater. I went in very skeptical, like, oh, come on, please, Bob Hope, really?
He was probably in the 70s at that point, 80s maybe.
He was old.
Yeah.
Really funny. I had like completely newfound respect for this guy. Well, I mean, so did most Americans prior to me. Who was I to say, well, I'm not going to laugh at this guy? Right. But no, genuinely a very, very funny set. I really liked it.
I thought he was terrific. And I think the movies, he's underrated. If you watch the movies that he's in, they're humorous. They're not laugh out loud.
Right.
But they'll keep your attention. He was a talent. And yeah, he was a great MC. And when we get back, we're going to talk about hosts of the show and who did well and who didn't, and all other things popular for it,
including David Letterman.
There you go.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Top 10 signs the movie you're watching will not win an Academy Award. Here we go, number 10. It still has the time code from the camcorder on it. Number 5, the last 20 minutes is a shot of Richie from Local 262 eating donuts. Well, and the number 1 sign the movie you're watching will not win an Academy Award. 4 words, Dom DeLuise as Gandhi.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. Hopefully you're still tuned in. We're talking about the Oscars, the Academy Award show itself. How can it be improved, if at all? And I'm here with David Cohen, Douglas Viviani. We're listening to David Letterman from 1995.
Oh, I was so looking forward to that. Weren't you?
I was. And here's my thing. And I know this is blasphemy in some ways. When he pulled out the top 10 list, I go, oh, he's doing the same thing he did on his television show every night. It's not special. This is a special night. Why are you doing the same routine you do every night on television? Like, this is a special night.
And the other thing with the top 10 list was it wasn't always good every night on his own show. So
Right.
the odds of it hitting
50-50
at best. Right.
So why are you going to that?
I agree.
And then, I loved him at the time. All through the 80s, all through the 90s. Lost a little bit towards the end. He got a little curmudgeon towards the end there. But a good 20 years, I would watch the show almost every night.
Yeah.
And so I was looking forward to that. I thought, as we said before, that he would be the next Bob Hope, the next one that will host this for a long time to come. What do you think it was? Do you think he was too dour, too, too flip? What was wrong?
I think that, if you were a big fan of Letterman, you knew that, in the years of the heightened popularity he had, he kind of despised celebrities. So he would have celebrities on, and oftentimes, he wouldn't be the most gracious host.
Right.
He would make fun of them. And so I don't know if there was any love between him and the audience, and I think that might have had something to do with it. That's one thing. The other thing is I just don't think it was the right platform for him, right? He had his own followers, people who loved him. He had a very niche audience, even though it was a large audience.
Right.
People that just got him. And I think the people tuning in, and not only the people in the physical audience, but people tuning in general to see the Oscars, if you don't like David Letterman, you don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any lukewarm. You either like him or you don't. And I think it just wasn't his crowd.
Yeah, and I also think some of his originality sort of, I don't know if his writers did the material or not. It wasn't consistent with his original ideas that he does a lot of the time. It was just like pro forma. He just followed the leader, so to speak.
I like the Oprah Uma thing.
Right.
Because that's Letterman's humor.
Right.
And I enjoy that, but that just completely bombed.
Yeah.
Completely.
But did it bomb at home? That's sometimes you need a laugh track
Right.
to let you know that it's funny or something. I don't know. But I laughed at that at home.
I did too, yeah.
But the audience there, oh, God forbid you say anything about Oprah or Uma Thurman. We can't, they're goddesses in our industry. Like, you can't laugh at yourselves. Like,
Right.
His whole thing was, no one is over the idea of laughing at yourself.
Right.
What are you so taken by yourself with?
But
So
Ricky
anyway.
Gervais, I think, got into trouble when he poked too much fun, I think, at Hollywood, and they didn't like him.
Correct.
You know,
gotta remember
so-
your audience, man.
Right.
You're at a theater of, I don't know, whatever that is, 5,000 people. You got to get
Very
some laughs.
self-important people, and they're not going to laugh at themselves, right?
Well,
So-
and we're seeing that with the speeches, as we said, right? They don't care about America. They're going to thank 35 people. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You don't know one name, but they're going to take your time to thank people that you would never know.
Oh, those celebrities.
Oh,
God, I
Bob.
just...
What about Bob Hope, though?
The special envelope, Mr. Miller. The winner, Mr. Bob Hope.
Thank you very much. And I've been asked to make an announcement before we go ahead. Mr. William Wyler, will you please see the cop out front? Your chariot is double parked.
Reference
It's a
to Ben-Hur.
nasty mess, though. Actors striking against producers bitter against writers, agents starving in the streets. Was this the kind of world you wanted Elvis to come home to? In spite of it all, it's a wonderful country, isn't it? Where else can a man walk off a job and refuse to get out of his swimming pool unless they improve working conditions?
There you go. Bob Hope will hit. To me, Bob Hope, every other joke is funny.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it.
And that was the year of Ben-Hur, so that was that reference to William
To the
Wyler.
chariot, yeah.
But so there's Bob Hope. To me, I think one of, if not, of course, the best. Let's try. I don't know. What do you think of Steve Martin? How he performed?
I don't really remember, to be
Let's
honest
give
with
you a little shot here.
At one point, Mickey Rooney was the biggest box office star in all the 38 states. Mickey, I salute you. Where are you, Mickey? Mickey, I'm sorry we couldn't get you a better seat, but Vin Diesel is here. Now, another big movie, Chicago. I'm just being honest here. Miramax stopped at nothing to make sure Chicago was nominated. Now, here's what they did, and you tell me if you think this is fair. They made a really good movie that everybody likes.
There you go. So he's speaking, that last part, he's speaking to me particularly. Because that's what we've been talking about a little bit is I like the idea of a movie that lots of people like, that lots of people know, like a Rocky, let's say back in the day, wins the award for the best picture because lots of people, if not everybody, agrees what a great movie it was. And we've gone away from that, and that's fine. We've talked about that. But there it was right there. I'm not the only one that thinks that way. But he was funny, I thought.
I thought he was really funny. Yeah.
I think Steve Martin should do it again. I think what happened, he did it the third time he did it with Alec Baldwin. And
oh, God, I don't even remember that.
What a
don't remember
flop.
That.
You got Alan.
It sounds like it would be.
Oh, he had an albatross around his neck. Alec Baldwin is not funny, never has been, never will be. Please stop saying he's funny.
I don't agree with that. I think he's very funny. In the right situation, he's very funny.
Let's put it this way.
30 Rock, come on. 30 Rock, he was really funny.
Once someone, let's be clear. Once someone, he's not a funny person. I should be clear about it.
Okay.
When someone writes things for him that are funny, he can perform better than anybody.
Okay.
But he's not a funny person.
No, all right.
He's a nasty, we know this, he's a nasty, spiteful individual that, I'm sorry.
Let's try to get him on the show.
Yeah, doesn't I have, it doesn't come over well. And anyway, I think that's what happened to Steve Martin is it flopped, and they don't give you a second chance in these Academy Awards.
No, they really don't.
I mean, you're
really
out. Here's a buddy of yours. I think that you'll, enjoy hearing.
But I know what you're saying. You're saying, where's that production number? We haven't had an opening production number. We had a wonderful piece of film, but where's that traditional Oscar number? You know, that's that traditional medley with all the names of the nominated pictures all put into one kind of crummy kind of song. Well, relax, you won't hear one tonight. Tonight you will not hear It's a Wonderful Night for Oscar.
And it goes on and on. I loved when he did that.
That was great. I don't know why they got rid of that whole thing. I thought it was really...
See, he was creative. He actually brought something... What he did with those songs every time was absolutely... I'm sure others helped him write it, but was absolutely a brand new idea that was memorable. If you ask anybody about that's a fan of the presentation of the Academy Awards about Billy Crystal, say, oh, yeah, he did those songs. You know?
Right.
And real funny, and I didn't do any of it because they're long. But anyway, I think he, to me, was one of, if not the best modern hosts since, I would say, what would I say, since Bob Hope.
Could it be that it's a dying art, hosting a show? I mean, maybe that's why they can't find anybody that's a good host, because, I don't know, you just don't there aren't that many shows that need hosts anymore. So...
True. It's not easy to do. I would love to know why they don't have him back. He's still around.
He may not want to do it. I mean, no, that's a big effort.
He is so good. He's just he did a great. I loved watching the Oscars with him in it. That's why, and that's hard to say.
Right.
Hard to say. How about Johnny Carson? One last one.
As you well know by now, this is the 51st Annual Academy Awards. 2 hours of sparkling entertainment spread out over a 4-hour show. I have to be very honest with you. I am very thrilled to stand up here tonight and gaze out on this glorious throng of beautiful people. I see a lot of new faces, especially on the old faces.
There we go. Johnny Carson. He's always good. I think he performed well. I don't know why they didn't have him back more often. You tell me what's happening with these hosts. I mean, what are they looking for? They had none this year.
Well, that may be the trend now, because they actually got better ratings without a host versus last year, right? So they may continue to do that. I think it's boring. I think it's boring not to have one.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake. All right, I'm thumbing through something here. Just want to show you before we end. We've changed the numbers. In other words, in modern day numbers, converting numbers, what are the top 5 Oscar winner movies that made the most money? Does that make sense? Best pictures that made the most money of all time.
All right.
I'll give you. You want to guess them, or we don't? We have like half a minute.
Best pictures that made the most money. Well, The Godfather's got to be.
Godfather's number 6 on the list. In today's money, it would have made $724 million. Then there's The Sting.
Wow.
Then one of my favorites, Ben-Hur. Today's money, $900 million. Titanic, $1.2 billion.
Woo.
Sound of Music, 1.3 billion.
That's number 2.
And number 1 is, what do you think? That's the question.
Oh, my God.
Got a couple seconds. Go ahead. Try to think of it.
Gone with the Wind?
Yes!
Thank you.
Gone with the Wind, the highest grossing movie of all time that won an Oscar in converted dollars to today's dollars, $1.85 billion.
Billion dollars.
Just for kicks. I don't think we solved anything, but we've had some fun here on Everything Old is
Yes,
New
we
Again,
did.
talking all things Academy Awards. Thank you, David Cohen. And thank you, I should go on a list of thanking. But
I'll start playing the music after about 30
so we'll be
seconds.
back right after this. No, we'll be back next week to discuss all things pop culture entertainment. Join us. You've been listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's pop culture entertainment talk show. Find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz. That's .biz.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.